Today, everybody now talks about utopianism. And they should. It's not a word that I invented. It's not a word that I coined. It's been around hundreds and hundreds of years. But it's a word, a concept, an argument that I've reintroduced, first through liberty and tyranny and now through Ameritopia. And Ameritopia is an extremely important word that I have coined. I know others don't want to use it, but you really ought to think about it. I don't get any points for it. Because in one word, we describe what's happening to this country, where we are, and where we're going. It's a mix of America and utopia. And when you listen to Obama, and when you listen to some of the clips I'm going to play, you're going to say, that's him promoting Ameritopia. Ameritopia is a post-constitutional society built on very superficial and vague arguments about fairness and equality and that sort of thing. Always talking about these grand, futuristic projects that, of course, are never going to come to accomplishment or fruition, while you have to surrender more and more of your liberty and your property, and in the meantime are miserable and ultimately destitute. And I explain this in Ameritopia in great detail. Utopianism is, at its heart, in form and substance, it's totalitarianism. That's what it is. They demand all kinds of power. Utopianism substitutes glorious predictions and unachievable promises for knowledge, science, and reason, while laying claim to them all. Yet there's nothing new in deception disguised as hope, and nothing original in abstraction framed as progress. And as we get closer and closer to this election, and you hear more and more of what Obama is saying, Ameritopia is going to become more and more clear to you. Especially threatening, are the industrious, independent, and successful. Listen to Obama attacking Romney for his business background, his success. Because it's threatening to their enterprise. Because success demonstrates what is actually possible under current societal conditions. Achievement, happiness, fulfillment. So that contradicts and endangers the utopian campaign against what was or is. If you want to transform a society, you have to trash that which is successful. Indeed, the individual's contribution to society must be downplayed. It must be dismissed or denounced, unless the contribution is directed by the state and involves self-sacrifice for the utopian cause. So Soros and Buffett are good, and Rickett and Romney and so forth are bad. Koch brothers, bad. In other words, if you're wealthy and a useful tool for the state, that's to be applauded. If you're wealthy and have nothing to do with the state, that's to be attacked. I want to get into a little bit more of this before I take you straight into what Obama said today. But it's important, at least those who listen to this program, that you have a full context for how to digest it without coughing it up, and how to deal with it, and how we together will battle it. The word is Ameritopia. It's a word that we need to make the coin of the realm. And what is the realm? What Obama's trying to do to this country and is doing to it. I mean, if they're going to use the book anyway, they might as well at least get the words right. Where utopianism is advanced through gradualism rather than revolution. Like here, albeit steady and persistent, as in democratic societies. It can deceive and disarm an unsuspecting population, which is largely content and passive. It's sold as reforming and improving the existing society's imperfections and weaknesses without imperiling its basic nature. Under these conditions, it's mostly ignored, dismissed, or tolerated by much of the citizenry and celebrated by some. Transformations deemed innocuous, well-intentioned, and perhaps constructive, but not a dangerous trespass on fundamental liberties. This is all intentional. Utopianism also finds a receptive audience among the society's disenchanted, disaffected, dissatisfied, and maladjusted, who are unwilling or unable to assume responsibility for their own real or perceived conditions, but instead blame their surroundings, the system, and others. You can see this in Occupy Wall Street, but even more than that. They are lured by the false hopes and promises of utopian transformation and the criticisms of the existing society, to which their connection is tentative or non-existent. You can even hear this from my friend Bob Beckel on the 5. Sounds just like this. Improving the malcontent's lot becomes linked to the utopian cause. Moreover, disparaging and diminishing the successful and accomplished becomes an essential tactic. You see, no one should be better than anyone else, regardless of the merits or value of his contributions. And by exploiting human frailties and frustrations, jealousies and inequities, a sense of meaning and self-worth is created in the malcontent's otherwise unhappy and directionless life. Simply put, equality in misery. And this is what Obama means when he uses the word fairness. Never forget it. Equality in misery, that is, equality of result or conformity, is advanced as a just, fair, and virtuous undertaking. Liberty, therefore, is inherently immoral, except where it avails equality. Okay? We'll dip into this here and there over the passing days and weeks, because the context is crucial. Because this is Obama. His play for Ameritopia. How much time do I have, Mr. Producer? Well, let's move to cut 12. There's a perfect example of it. Obama at the closing of the NATO summit in Chicago today. Cut 12, go.
I think my view of private equity is that it is set up to maximize profits, and that's a healthy part of the free market. That's that's part of the role of a lot of business people. That's not unique to private equity, and as I think my representatives have said repeatedly, and I will say today, I think there are folks who do good work in that area, and there are times where they identify the capacity for the economy to create new jobs or new industries. But understand that their priority is to maximize profits. And that's not always going to be good for communities or businesses or workers.
In other words, success is not always good for communities, businesses, and workers. Let's use the right words. Maximize profits. Success. Success. You see, Solyndra was not about maximizing profits. And all the other entities that this president, apparently up to $70 or $90 billion worth in the stimulus and so forth, they've all failed. They haven't maximized anything. You see, Obama wants the golden eggs that the golden goose lays in order to build his empire of big government and the monuments to bureaucracy. But he hates the golden goose. So he poisons the golden goose, shakes its neck, and then wonder why it won't lay more golden eggs for him to redistribute. We're talking about success. Obama despises successful people, unless, of course, they can be used to advance his cause, like the Buffetts and the Soroses and people like that. I'll be right back.